Hey guys, Bill coming back at you again with another video, and today we're going to be unboxing, assembling, and testing out the new AirCube ebb and flow hydroponic system. Okay guys, so let's get right down to it. Before I show you the new grow system that I'll be using, check this out. All right, so not only did we get a new grow system to run with this new grow, we also got a new Mars Hydro 5x5 tent. My first time using a 5x5. I just got rid of my 8x8 not long ago, got the 4x4, and now I've got this 5x5 to add to my collection. So super great tent. As they all are, they use these 1680D Mylar, super thick, really nice zippers. Nice heavy duty zippers, and of course the zipper flap to prevent any light leaks. And like the rest of their tents, they have all the ports to exhaust your inline fans through at the top, on the sides at the top, as well as on the bottom. Great reflectivity in these tents. One thing that is different between this one and the 4x4, the 5x5 is when Mars Hydro starts to put in these side access doors. So I have one of these on either side. And I did open this one up because that's the only one I could access. The other one's by the wall. But I did reach in there the other day, and you can reach quite a ways in there if you do need to work on your plants in the back. At least on that side, I'm all right. For everything else, I'm going to have to just work my way in there or move things out of my way. So yeah, we got this new 5x5. I'll be using the Mars Hydro 6-inch inline duct fan back there. And we're going to be running the Mars Hydro FC6500 with this, the Smart FC6500. So I already have it hooked up to my app, so I won't need to run a timer in this tent. The app will take care of that. I've been using the app with the 4800 EVO in the 4x4, and it's working great. So I'll continue to use the app for that. So don't forget, Mars Hydro does have their Black Friday sales on right now. So if you're interested in any of their products, I'll have a link in the description. Go over there and check them out. Be sure to use my code BWARD, and that'll save you even a little bit more at checkout. So now let's take a look at this awesome ebb and flow hydroponic grow system. So here we have our new grow system. Now this is called the AirCube Active Oxygen Grow System. Just got these packages in last week, and I can't wait to get everything together and try them out in this new tent. Now I got these shipped in from growace.com. See if we can zoom in on there it is there, growace.com. They are the distributors of this AirCube system, and they wanted to know if I wanted to give it a shot. And I've been looking for something different, and yeah, sure, I'll try it out. So they were kind enough to send me one to try, and we're going to see what's in these boxes. We're going to set it up, and we'll also test it out this week. I do have some clones that I just started today. I was going to use cereal milk clones, which I have lots of, but I really didn't want to grow back-to-back strains. So a buddy of mine took some cuttings there today, and we'll be able to get those rooted here quickly and get them into the system. So let's put you guys up on the tripod, and I think we'll start out with the reservoir. We'll check that out first and go from there. All right, so I was planning on unboxing this on video. I did unbox it, and I thought it was on video, but it's funny, when you don't hit that record button, it doesn't pick up too much. So anyway, we have everything out of the boxes. I don't feel like putting them back in the box to take them out of the box again, but let me go ahead and show you everything that was in the boxes. We have the reservoir, which, as you can see, I've already assembled. I'll show you a little bit more about that in a second. Very simple setup. Over here we have the 6 AirCube buckets. These are 5-gallon buckets. And we also have an instruction manual, as well as some connectors and grommets, and some tubing, some nice rubber tubing there, nice and flexible. So that came in the taller box that we had there. And also the fabric liners or fabric bags that go into these plastic pots. So that was one box. And the other box had the AirCube brain module system. This is where all the magic happens. This is where you'll start the fill cycle and the drain cycle and all that stuff. And I'll show you that here a little bit more after we get that all set up. Some more rubber hose, and inside we have some more attachments here. There was some styrofoam in here to protect some of the electronics, and these little doohickeys down here, these little floats there. And also in here, this is the float system for the unit, so you can adjust these to whatever height that you want. If you adjust them like all the way to the top, the bucket will fill all the way to the top, in turn filling all the buckets up to the top. So you can adjust that as you see fit. There's also one water pump and another water pump in this box as well. And some of the wiring here on the outside, which was protected with styrofoam as well. So we'll talk about that here in a bit. Now here's the 25-gallon reservoir. Now all we had to do for assembly on this was attach a grommet there, just 2 pieces and 2 rubber seals, and a valve. That's pretty much it down there. Very simple. The instructions are really easy to read, so it's pretty much foolproof. And then you have inside of here, which is a really nice vinyl or whatever it is, whatever product they use for that. It seems really heavy duty. And we have these poles here, which again, very easy to install. You can see they're fit right into the holes on the bottom there. So there's 3 of them. You set the bottom half into that hole, and this top half here you insert through a hole. There's a hole here, insert that down into here, connect them, and then this is a lock nut that you just put over top. This is what's holding the top on, and them fitting into those little holes down there is what's holding the bottom. So they're pretty secure. The whole thing's pretty darn secure for being a completely flat product when you take it out of the box. But as soon as you add those poles, yeah, it's quite secure, and it'll be even more secure once you get water in it to push the sides out. Very simple. Now what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to set this outside of the tent. I don't want the reservoir in the tent because I don't want it getting too warm. I don't think I have to worry about keeping it cold because it's fairly cold here now anyway in Nova Scotia. So I'm going to set it back here, and that'll still give me room to get to my supply rack, and it'll be out of the way. Now this comes as a 6 bucket unit. You can extend that, I believe, up to 32 buckets on one system. These are on sale actually right now, guys. So if anytime through this grow, if you're liking what you're seeing with this system, head over to growace.com. I'll leave a link in the description, and they're on sale right now for Black Fridays. I think you save almost 300 bucks. So definitely go over, check that out. Use my code BILLWARD, and you'll save a little bit at checkout as well. So I'll put all that down in the description section, so feel free to check that out. Now, like I stated, it's a 6 bucket system. I think being my first time in here, in this 5x5, my first time growing with this system, I think I'm only going to do 4. I think I can fill this 5x5 with 4 plants anyway, so let's try 4 this time. If it works out as good as I think, maybe we'll try 6 the next time. For the first go around, we're just going to go with 4. So I'm going to set the brain outside of the tent, and we'll get these 4 buckets set up inside here. Okay, guys, so I've changed my mind. I'm going to put this together in the order the instructions tell me to. That may just be a little bit easier for everybody, including myself, to understand. So here's the instruction booklet. And it has layouts for, yeah, you can get a 6 bucket system, but you can also expand that to 36 buckets. And that's all on one brain module unit. So that's pretty sweet. I wish I had the room for that, but let's head over here to the instructions. So this is telling us to set up the reservoir first. So what we're going to do is place the AirCube brain controller in front of the reservoir with the timer facing away from the reservoir. Now I'm actually going to be having the brain on the inside of the tent and the reservoir on the outside of the tent. I was going to put them on both on the outside, but after watching some other videos of people putting them together and using them, I found some had some problems with filling and draining, trying to run the hose through the vents on the tent being a little bit high. So I don't really want to put another hole in my tent that's lower. So I'm going to try putting the brain system in the tent. So I already have the brain system right on the other side of that duct hole right here. So we'll set it up from here, doing it that way. So measure and cut tubing to reach from the top of the AirCube advanced brain controller to the bottom of the inside of the reservoir. So we'll grab some tubing. We'll pull out enough of that to reach the bottom of this. Okay, that's probably good. And we'll bring that down. That's going to go through that opening. So there's lots of tubing here, so I'm going to cut myself enough to make sure I have plenty there. So just cut that with some scissors. Okay, so we've done that step. Assign one of the water pumps as a fill pump and place it at the bottom of the reservoir. Connect one end of the tubing to the fill pump. So we have two pumps that came with that. So that's going to go in the bottom of that. Now we have to put the hose, connect the hose to it. So I'm assuming there's a piece to screw into here so that the hose will fit right onto that. Okay, so that's in this little bag. This came right in the little box that the pump was in. There's also these little suction cup feet that go onto the bottom of that here. I don't think I'm really going to bother with that because it's probably not going to stick on the bottom and stay there. So we'll just ignore that for now. And we'll take this here, screw it into our now designated fill pump. Okay. Sorry, there's not a ton of light back in this corner. So we'll go ahead and hook that to it. Easy peasy. Okay, and now we're going to use the tubing puncture tool to make a small hole in the tubing that's inside the reservoir. So puncture the tubing near the highest point of the tubing where tubing enters the reservoir. Insert the vacuum brake barbed elbow into the hole with the valve facing downwards towards the reservoir to prevent water from siphoning. Okay, so we have this. This has our fittings. This is the puncture tool. And this is the little barbed elbow. Okay, so we'll put that little elbow right in our mouth. Hold on to it. So we need to put a hole at the highest point where the tubing is going into the reservoir. So I'm thinking, let's see, we'll get that on the bottom. I'm thinking it's going to be right around here. So we're just going to go and poke a hole through. We'll take our little elbow here. This is really tiny. Try not to drop it. Now what this is going to do is it's going to stop it from siphoning water. So once the pump stops, it'll allow air in and the water to drop into the reservoir instead of staying in here, causing a siphon and causing your pump to keep running. Okay, so we got it in. We're going to turn it downwards like this. I might have it a little bit too high. I'll figure that out here in a minute. If it is, I'll just cut a little piece off the bottom of the hose to bring it down. So that's that step. Plug the fill pump into the outlet on the side of the AirCube advanced brain controller labeled fill pump. Okay, so I'll do that. I'll show you this here after a bit, but I'll go ahead and do that. All right, so we got that done. Now we're going to set up the AirCube advanced brain controller. So let's go around to the other side there and get that set up. Okay, so here is our brain. And you can see we have that fill pump plugged into the fill pump as instructed. So what do we do here now? There are two upper water float valves that are on an adjustable mount so the water levels can be adjusted. Adjust float valves to preferred level. Ensure that the float valve does not exceed the height of the top of any buckets. Yeah, that'd be smart. Ensure the float valves are pointed in the downward direction as shown in the photo. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to take this top right off for now. Okay, so here is our float valves. And that just slides out like this. So we want it up. You see that triggers the mechanisms when they go up like this. So we're going to push these down. We're going to want this to fill up pretty high. So I think we'll go up almost to the top, and we can adjust this later as well. And there's two little slots down there, two little holes. We'll stick it in there, make sure it's planted well. So there we go. There's our two floats. Insert grommets into the 6 holes on the bottom of the AirCube Advanced Brain Controller. Okay, so we got our bag of goodies here. Here's our grommets. There's 5, 6. Okay, so each side of this has 3 holes. Now we want to take these and fill these holes, put them right in there. Now it's easier if you got one hand inside, one hand out, and they'll fit right in there, pop into place. So there's 3 on this side and 3 on this side. So I'll go ahead and do that and we'll come right back. Okay, so we have 3 on this side, 3 on this side, all installed. What now, instructor? Insert 2 straight connectors into the front 2 grommets on the bottom of the brain controller. Make sure they are inserted all the way into the grommet. Insert 4 stoppers into the rear 4 grommets. These can be removed to add additional grow buckets. So for the 6-pot system, we only need these front holes. We'll block up those other 4. Okay, so the front one, we're going to put the long one here. Okay, make sure it's all the way in. And 2 of these ones just to plug it off. Don't want them leaking, so we'll stick them in there. All right, easy peasy. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay. And plug off the 2 back ones. There we go. Okay, so what do we do now? Insert grommet into the left side hole of the brain controller lid. All right, so on the left hand side, we're going to stick this here. Okay. Done. Insert a straight connector into the grommet on the left side. All right. We're going to use another one of these straight ones. And there we go. Pretty simple instructions. They spell it out pretty good. Place 1 water pump, drain pump, on the inside bottom of the AirCube brain controller. Measure and cut tubing to reach from the bottom of the reservoir to the drain pump. Place one end of the tubing inside of the reservoir. Stick the other end of the tubing through the empty right side hole on the top of the lid and hook it to the drain pump. Okay, so I have the other drain pump here. We're going to attach that connector up at the top because we're going to be using this hose, connecting it with the hose. So we'll do that. With this one, I'm going to try putting those little suction cup feet on it, because when we drain this out, we want to drain it as close to the bottom as possible. So, and I think this will have no problem sticking to the bottom here. So these here, you just stick in the big hole, slide them up to the small hole, and there we go. Good enough. So this is gonna go in here. Okay, so instead of cutting this first, I'm just gonna feed it in through that vent hole. And we'll cut it out there once we see how much we need. So we'll stick the top on here. This is gonna go down here. And that's gonna hook to this drain pump. Pull enough hose down there so it sits directly on the bottom. So we got the pump in there, all set to go. The cord just kind of fell into this spot. I think that's probably where it's supposed to go anyway. And so we'll take that cord. This one we have to fill to the where it says drain pump, which is right here. So we'll plug that in. This here is the hose that we cut for the fill pump that's inside the reservoir. This is going to attach to this side. So there's our fill, there's our drain. Okay, so we just did that, plug the tubing, connect it to the fill pump in step one, straight into the connector on the left side of the top. So we just did that. So that's hooked up as well. Now I'll check the reservoir just to make sure. So that's our fill pump. This is gonna fill the buckets. And this here is the extra hose I didn't cut. This is the drain hose. Now I'm gonna slide this back. So I want it as far back as I can. Now that's as far as that cord's gonna allow me, unless I get an extension cord. Now let's cut a piece of the drain tube. Okay, and we're gonna just stick that in the, stick it in the res. Now I've seen people say too, to keep this at the top, not have it directly down into the water so that it doesn't siphon on itself. Close this up a little bit there. And let's get the pot set up. All right, so let's get these buckets set up. I'm just gonna have them in the traditional 4-pot area for a grow tent. I really wish that brain module would go outside of the tent. And I may end up moving it there if I can figure out a solution to the drainage problem that I can see happening if we put it outside the tent. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because these have to gravity drain, and the pipe that goes right along the floor, pretty much right at floor level. If the control module was outside of the tent, the hose from the buckets would have to come up 3 or 4 inches to go out of this vent here on the other side, of course. Now, having to go up is going to stop the gravity drain in these buckets before they're completely empty. Now, I am going to do more research on that, and I may end up switching it around if I figure out a way that people are getting by that. I could put a hole in the very bottom of the tent. That would fix it. I really don't want to put a hole in my brand new tent, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, we're going to set them up like this for now. So I'm going to grab the hose and the connectors. All right, so here we have our connectors. We have T connectors. We have grommets. And we also have a couple of these angle connectors as well. So let me show you how this works. So each pot, we got to put one of these grommets in to keep it from leaking, of course. So we're going to take that. There's a little bit of plastic shaving there along the edge. So I'm just going to rub that off. So we're going to take this. We're going to stick it in this hole. Make sure it seats properly in there. Okay. And then we're going to take one of these T's and we're going to put it this way in. Push it, make sure it's all the way in. Okay. So it's either going to go this way or this way, depending on how we run that hose. So I'm going to go ahead, get all 4 of them in. Then we'll come back and cut some hose, hook them up. All right. So we have all the grommets and the T's in the bottom. We're just going to cut a hose to go from the control module to this first pot. So this one won't have to be very long. Now there's a connector on either side of the brain module. So we're just going to go down here. We're going to hook it to the control module. Stick that on there. So we got that stuck in there. I'm now going to cut it in half because the bend is the wrong way. And we're going to grab one of these 90-degree connectors here, push that in and connect it to the other pipe here, and then we'll connect it to this here. Make sure you push them in all the way, and there we go. We have our first one. We get some water in there, that'll hold everything steady, and some soil. Okay, so now we need a hose from here to there. It would be nice if this was a little bit more, it's pliable, but it doesn't want to stay straight. So we're going to go right about here. So we're going to do this. We're going to hook it to there, to that one, hook that one to that one, and so on. And I'll come back when I get this finished. All right, so we got them all hooked up. As you can see, it's just one continuous hose from here into this one, into that one, that one, that one, and then back down into the brain control module. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is set the time. So what we want to do is, this is our clock face. Now this little arrow is what we're looking at right here. Not this one. I thought it was this one, but it's actually this one. So it is right now 3:30. So we're going to turn this all the way around until we reach 3:30. Now this is a 24-hour clock, so we want to turn this to 15:30 to be lined up with that arrow. So 15:30, and we got it right. 15. Two more ticks would be 15:30. A little bit more. All right, that's pretty close there. So now we have that set. So if we want to set it for 4 o'clock to come on 15 minutes. Now I'm looking at a weird angle, so it's going to be hard for me to pick the right one. But when I set it for real, I'll get down there and make sure it's the right one. So if we want it to set for 4 o'clock, we want to have that tab at the 16, which is 4 o'clock. We want to have that up. Now, any one of these that are up is a 15-minute cycle. So now at 4 o'clock, this will automatically fill up these pots for 15 minutes and then turn itself off. So now say we want to increase that to half an hour. We want it to sit in the water for half an hour. We're just going to put the next one up. So now that's a half an hour cycle. Now say you're growing in cocoa, which they recommend 3 to 5 cycles a day. So say you want to run it again at 7 o'clock, which would be 19. Then we're going to go ahead and move that up. And if we want a half an hour cycle, we'll put the 2 up. And so now it'll come on every day at 4 o'clock for half an hour. And then again at 7 o'clock for half an hour. And after that half hour, it'll turn off. And it'll wait till until the next cycle, which you can set as many as you need on here. We'll make sure we get that all set by next video. All right, guys. So let's see here. I have this a little over half full of water. Got the hoses in. Let's check this out. Let's turn it on. Now I already did actually try it for a little bit here just to make sure there was no leaks, and there was none. Let's turn this on manually. So if this little orange button, move this to the top. There we go. So we can see the pump that's in the reservoir is now filling up this bucket, this brain module. And as this fills up, water will always find its level. So the easiest route is through this hose into these buckets. And we can see already, you can see that filling up. See them all filling up. So there we go. Now where I turn that on manually, That'll stay on until the water reaches the level of those floats in here. So those 2 white floats down there. Once it reaches those, it'll turn off. And it'll stay there. The water will stay there until we do something with it in manual mode. Now I believe this is a safety. I believe this is, if the water gets this high, yeah, okay, then that's an automatic safety. It'll just stop right there. So it'll save you from flooding your house. Okay, put it back down. She starts back up. And there was 2 floats down on the bottom. Those are the floats, I believe, that regulate or tell the machine when it's empty, when you can stop pumping. So lots of safeties built right into it. So that should save some accidents. Now, if you have it set on the timer, say you have it set for 15 minutes, that 15 minutes, I believe, will start as soon as it starts to pump the water. So it has 15 minutes to fill all the buckets, which only takes, I'm going to say a few minutes, because they're already, you know, a quarter filled and we just started it. And once you get grow media in there, that's going to take up a lot of that space. So technically that will take less water. So it should only take a couple of minutes to fill these. And it'll sit there until the end of that 15 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever you have it set. You can have it set to sit there for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever you want. And then once that time's up, everything will drain out. So let's turn it off manual, which would be the same as when your timer is up. This is what happens. Okay, see that light just came on? Drain cycle. So now it's stopped filling this tank and it's reversed it. Okay, so let's check out the reservoir. There we go. We can see the water is going back into the res. And the water level in the pots is dropping. Exactly what it's supposed to do. The water in here is dropping. It's a little bit, it's dropping faster in here because that's where the source is. It takes a little while for these to drain out back into the control module. Now, if this gets ahead of itself, it'll drain it till it's empty using those float sensors down there. And then any more water that drains out from the buckets will come in. Those floats will lift back up and it'll drain again to get rid of whatever's left. So, and that'll be the end of your cycle. So, yeah, everything seems to be working great. So far, I love it. There's nothing not to like at this point. No leaks, first time, so that's good. Yeah, once you get that initial setup, it might take you half an hour, 45 minutes, and yeah, then you're good to go. So that's all we're going to do for this video. I just wanted to get it out of the boxes, hooked all up, and tested. And yeah, everything's great. There's no water anywhere. That was my biggest thought, but they did it right. No water down here, and no water anywhere except for where it's supposed to be, in there. Okay, guys, so yeah, if you want to find these online, go to growace.com. I'll have a link in the description. If you do happen to want to get one of these systems, they are on sale right now, big discounts. Also, use my code BillWard, which I'll put down in the description section as well. You'll save even more. Also, don't forget Mars Hydro sale right now, Black Friday. If you're new to growing and you want to get started right, go grab yourself a Mars Hydro light, tent, kit, whatever you want over at marshydro.com. If you want to go easy right away, head over to growace.com and pick yourself up one of these bad boys. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. And we'll see you on the next one. Happy growing.